Yesterday and today, I noticed something weird when it comes to these deficit pulls. My hip flexors. I'm feeling them. Feeling them in a strange way. The only other time that I felt my hip flexors like this was probably 2 years ago, maybe day 100 or something like this, day 50, when I incorporated block pulls. Started feeling my hip flexors really strangely, like DOMS type of feeling. Today, the first set here, with the 70 kilos, as soon as I kind of got into position, before I even pull, I feel my hip flexors kind of locking up, almost like they're out of range of motion, or they're like really sore and exhausted. Got me a little, thinking about this, why this is. Automatically, the first thought comes to my mind is I got to train them, I got to pump them, psoas curls, single leg raises, things like this. But I'm kind of puzzled to why they're getting exhausted like this. Along with this, I was feeling my lower back today, especially yesterday, a little bit. I think today is day 3 of doing these deficits, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm feeling the hip flexors, really, really interesting stuff. It's not my hip pain. It's not that. My hip pain is kind of a different sensation. This is like literally, if you run your fingers along that hip bone that's kind of poking out of the front, anterior iliac crest, I want to say, and just kind of underneath there, like exactly where the kind of, what is this, iliopsoas, maybe rectus femoris, there's 2 kind of big tendons that are kind of like passing through there. I'm feeling them. So it was a weird sensation today, weirdly awkward. That initial pull off the ground, I would feel them, and then as soon as the bar kind of gets mid-shin, it would go away. So anyway, something to think about. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of monitor this and continue along. Nevertheless, as soon as I got to the squat started feeling a little bit better than the freaking deficit pulls. Started feeling good about myself again. So much so that I had confidence to put on 170 kilos today, and I did that for 3 sets of 5. So I think I started with 140. Then I went to 160. Now I'm 170 for sets of 5. So that's nice progress. I feel quite strong under the bar. I feel strong in my hips. The hip pain is nowhere near to be found. But now these deficit pulls are challenging me in a different sensation. Today I had a day off work, so I did a lot of stretching of the hip flexors. That's probably contributed to somewhat for today's session. Whenever you kind of stretch something and then later on you ask it to contract, it's kind of like opposite stimulus that you're kind of sending to that area. But I was quite tight in the hip flexors after yesterday. Now, weirdly enough, I feel like my hips are more balanced after doing these deficit pulls. You would think that, having tight and sore hip flexors, you would kind of exhibit even more of a anterior pelvic tilt, but that's not the case. My hip flexors feel longer, so when I walk, I feel kind of lighter on my feet. I feel poppy, I feel great. But then when I go into that kind of 90-degree knee bend, and I don't even know what hip bend that is, 100, 120, whatever it is, in that position there, more than 90, that's for sure. Just feel my hip flexors lock up. Now, a few of you fellas, I remember back in the day when I was doing the block pulls, you guys also said the similar thing, a few of you guys, that you kind of feel like an odd sensation through the hip flexors. So anyway, something to think about. Today I kind of gave it a bit of a search, but I had to think about it a little bit more, what that is. Obviously, in the deficit pull, you're starting from a very acute angle, right? And you're producing force from a very, very acute angle. I don't know, a part of me thought about adding another block next to this block and kind of making my stance a little wider to kind of open up my hips a little bit. Maybe that will kind of solve the issue. Or maybe the fact is I have DOMs in my hip flexors because they're really getting challenged. It could be that. I mean, I don't think I've ever experienced DOMs, in a muscle like that, like a ropey type of muscle like that. Usually when I experience DOMs, it's kind of in the bigger muscle groups in the body. But anyway, I'm very, very pleased today with the progress. Very pleased with the squats. The squats are feeling good. I almost went for a 200 kilo today. I started feeling good as soon as I started warming up with the squats. And then, the self-talk started coming in, like, what am I gaining out of doing these, like, singles at the top? I'm nowhere near the 220 kind of kilo confidence level. I'm still kind of pushing these 5s. What do I gain out of going for 190, 200? What do I gain out of that? other than potentially some hip pain if I misgroove it, or if I get in the hole too quick, or whatever the case might be. It's just, I don't know, I've kind of moved away from all that thinking. I'm very much so in that building phase of mentality, doing fives, doing these deficits, doing these RDLs that I've been doing the last few weeks, just putting lots and lots of volume into this body of mine. It's summer now, you know what I mean? The last time I tried to do this, it was winter, and I was getting sick like nobody's business. I was getting sick all the time. Now it's summer, it's hot. It's really hot. I'm getting a lot of fluids down. My body's feeling good as soon as I come into the garage. So I feel like it's the thing to do during summer. Lots of volume, lots of rep work, and my body's feeling amazing, absolutely amazing. Whenever I kind of get into that deep squat position and my hip doesn't talk to me, it feels incredible. Actually, one of you guys messaged me, commented on, I think, yesterday's video or the day before, can't remember now. After all these night shifts, my mind's kind of all jumbled up. But one of you fellas basically described exactly the same thing that I have, or that I had, with the hip pain, which is unfortunate. And, I think for some of us to get too keen with squats, i.e. like me, squatting every day, if you don't address that posterior chain, you're going to get in trouble with hip pain. And while I can't 100% tell anybody out there what exactly you should do, I can just speak about my experience. That kind of lateral upper hip pain over that TFL region, for me, was solved with posterior chain work. You pick it, do it. Deadlifts off the floor, RDLs, rack pulls, deficit pulls, good mornings, single leg RDL, like kettlebells, whatever you want to do. You just make sure you add more volume into that pulling motion than the pushing motion. And one of you guys actually mentioned Julius Maddox last night as well. The dude is like the best bench presser in the world, probably. I think he holds the record. Big fella, huge weights, like weights that you can't even imagine holding in your freaking hands. Like 700 pounds or something like this, I think, from memory last time I saw him. That's a stupid weight, man. What is that? Like 99.9% of the population can't even deadlift that. This dude's doing it with his chest. So he, the comment said, the fella said, Julius tries to do, 2-to-1 ratio pull to push, which is, something that I kind of discovered, recently. Do more pulling. Actually, another comment that I got yesterday was also about, why don't I start with squats? That's a push. I want to start with a pull. Health first, man. Health first. I know my squats are probably suffering a little bit because of that, but to me, as many points as possible into the posterior chain means the pushing is going to go well. It means the body's going to be well. I've banged my head against that wall too many times to kind of make the same mistake again. Squatting is feeling incredible now. As much as my whole soul wants to just jump in and do pig squat every single day, and I look at that damn board, the whiteboard next to me here, I look at it almost every day and I'm like, okay, how many ticks do I have? Oh, okay, I got to 160 for a set of 6. Okay, I see you, I see that 200, I'm like, oh man, I would love to make another run in the pig squat. But that's a whole lot of pushing. That's a whole lot of reps. In order for me to balance out the pig squat, I would have to do something like pig squat deadlift, which is an interesting idea, right? I think one of you guys actually mentioned this a few months ago. Doing a pig squat in the deadlift. How would that look? Just looking at the board right now. So that is 8 sets of 140, 7 reps of 150, 6 sets of 160, 5 reps of 170. Man, that's a lot of work. I wonder if I could complete it with the deadlift. I probably could, now that I'm kind of looking at it. In fact, I probably really could. But yeah, I don't know how that would feel. That's a lot of reps. Anyway, the whole point is 2-to-1 ratio. Julius Maddox does. You might be different as well. You might get 3-to-1 or whatever. I mean, you have to appreciate this guy's world class. This guy's elite. This guy's one of the greatest lifters we've ever seen on the planet, basically. So you can't exactly take their, templates and run with it, but you can kind of take ideas from these guys and go, okay, so this dude's doing 2 times the volume in the pulling. Now, he's not doing 700 freaking pound rows. He's not rowing 700 pounds, but he's doing a whole lot of machine work, I guess a lot of dumbbell work. I've seen him do a lot of seal rows. And this is not like, sets of 3 or 4 or 5. This is like a set of 10 to 20 kind of stuff, even beyond. So lots of hypertrophy work for the back, So if you're somebody that's interested in benching, do that. Just become a back monster. If you're somebody that's into squatting, do a lot of deadlifting, do a lot of pulling, do a lot of hip hinging. That's the kind of stuff you need to do. It's anti-intuitive and it's kind of like sucks because that's what we want to do. We want to do what we want to do, but that's kind of how our body, operates. I've spoken about this in the past. We are very similar to kind of the primates, monkeys and gorillas and whatever. And, they're very good at hanging. They're very good in their back. That's what they do, man. They're just kind of forever hanging and pulling stuff out of the ground or whatever, swinging on trees. So we are kind of, exactly built like that, but we are kind of like that. We do better with pulling than pushing. Pushing kind of destroys our joints. Squatting, a whole bunch gets you hip pain. I know, benching a whole lot gets me like upper back knots and shoulder weirdness and all sorts of stuff. Pull-ups, man, I can do pull-ups until the cows come home, man. I can do pull-ups all day. I'll wake up the following morning feeling mint. Shoulders, elbows, wrists, back, everything feels amazing. So your capacity to do pulling is like, I don't even know, like if there's a limit on the capacity. It's up to the muscles. But the joints, it's almost like a decompression every time you do it, especially the spine. If you think about hanging off a damn tree or off a bar or whatever, wherever you're doing it, I don't know what else is better for your spine in terms of health than doing pull-ups. I would also put hip hinging there, loading and whatever, but it just goes to show you wherever you look, whichever body part you look, it seems to be really, really beneficial for us to do pulling. It is what it is. So it's nice to see other people, especially experts, especially elite athletes, kind of, exhibiting the same ideas as I kind of come to a conclusion. Now, in terms of exactly what exercise you want to do or whatever, that's entirely up to you, but the bottom line is do a lot of pulling. These damn deficit pulls, man, they're really kind of puzzling me now. I'm very, very heavy on the lower back, and now they're very heavy on the hip flexors. One of you guys asked me, why am I doing only 160 kilos? That works out to be 60% of my max, which is 260. That's a lot because it's off a deficit, and it's also the fact that I'm doing it every single day. Why am I doing it every single day? That's kind of what I tend to do when I introduce new movements. I do it every single day for a little bit, and then I kind of increase the weight after maybe a week or so, see how I go, increase the weight a little bit and then drop the frequency maybe to like every other day. That's kind of what I did with the Romanian deadlifts, and it worked really well for me. I just want to keep hammering it away, kind of learn the motion, teach the body, the movement before I hit it over the head with a hammer. That's kind of how I like to do things. So these deficits are feeling amazing. I'm really kind of concentrating, shifting my knees forward and pushing with my quads, really emphasizing that because that's kind of what I need in the normal deadlift off the floor. I need more quads. I need that positioning. And the interesting thing is I'm feeling my hip flexors like nobody's business. That's kind of making my hip flexors really kind of turn on. I feel the quads, but I also feel the hip flexors every time I kind of load that position. So I don't know whether you guys have suggestions of why that is. Maybe you guys have kind of felt the same thing. Maybe it's a positional thing. Maybe I got to kind of flare my feet out a little bit. But it's something that I've noticed, and it's kind of interesting to me. I don't know. I keep thinking about, my back positioning. So the thing is, when you go into that really kind of low position, one thing you have to do is keep your back flat. And as I've said in previous videos, one of the structures which keeps our back flat is the hip flexors, because exactly where they originate from, T12 to L5. It's like a fan muscle. And so when you get into that really deep hip flexion position, it puts a huge demand on that psoas muscle to flatten the back, especially when you start to pull. I'm actually just answering my own question here as I'm talking to you guys. So maybe that's what it is. It's just a huge demand on hip flexors. Guys, last night again, a whole bunch of new guys came onto the scene, onto the Patreon. Seems like every single day there's like 5 or 6 new people that are coming on and supporting me, which is absolutely mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. The names I want to mention are Ben Rowan, Matthew, Chung H. Lee, Preslav Stankov. I'll wait for the other page to come on. So now it's spilling over to the other page. It's just an incredible feeling, and a lot of discussions that I've had with you guys. I'm just thanking everyone. It just goes to show you that a lot of you guys appreciate my efforts and these videos. It's absolutely astonishing to me that all of you guys are coming out like this and supporting me. You know, I always kind of felt, you know, warmth, support, and love and positive energy with all you guys commenting and coming back to the videos. And I kind of felt blessed because of that. And then it kind of crossed my mind that some of you guys have gone an extra step further. And I was like, and then I saw another guy on another channel, you know, put the kind of in the credits, in the back end of the video, put some names up of people who have gone the extra step. And I've done that. And a lot of you guys have, man, I didn't even know that you have a Patreon account. And so a lot of you guys are coming and supporting me. And it's unbelievable, man. It's absolutely unbelievable what's happening here. So the other names that I wanted to mention were Dylan Y, Julian T, Daniel DB, Mitchell A, Junaidi, and Colton Miller. Guys, I feel like a broken record, but I can't say it enough. I thank you. I thank you for the support. This, like, it does wonders to me, man. This literally puts wind in my back. And I almost want to say I want to do something for you guys on Patreon. I want to do another, like a little thing for you guys, but I just don't have the time right now with work, squatting every day, editing these videos every day, and being really active in the YouTube comments. I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else I can offer you guys. You know, if you want to contact me on Patreon, that's kind of the first section that I go to answer my comments. So literally, I look at Patreon all the time. These are my number one supporters. So that's the first thing I look at. I answer all the guys there, and then I go onto YouTube and answer the comments there. Obviously, the YouTube comments are much more involving and many, but I try and stay on top of the Patreon all the time. A lot of guys have also mentioned Discord. I just don't have the time, guys. I'm way too busy with work, like I said, with the videos and squatting every day. I wish I could do this full time, and I would jump on Discord. We'd talk there. We'd talk on YouTube. We'd talk on Instagram. We'd talk on Patreon. I don't have the manpower at the moment. Guys, once again, thank you so much. Really appreciate you. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.